Hi, welcome back to Bag of Marbles. We have a very special guest, one of Trishy and my longtime friends, Elaina. Elaina, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. I'm really
So,
excited to have you guys here
I
to do
love
this.
being
This
here.
is awesome.
You walk
So
in and it's just such a nice Zen feel.
that's the whole point.
Yeah.
One of our major things is that we have the ceilings gridded. It's 70 feet down and 20 feet across.
So, before we get into that, give us a little background of how you got into this life, if you
Oh
will.
man, okay.
It goes back a little
So
bit.
it goes back quite a ways. Probably almost 30 years ago, I was studying religious science and found some things about crystals and some things that were missing, and that was sort of my thesis was on the missing pieces, and that led me, of course, toward crystals and their energy, and then that led me to making cutting crystals, playing with them, getting to understand them and what their energies were. That I used to call it powers, but it is, we're all energy. So they just accent different energies in us or change things in our vibration to help us to maybe fight addiction or get rid of a headache or give us a little more personal strength. So I did that for many years, and then I came upon one of my greatest teachers of my lifetime, Randy Bell, who was my Reiki master, who I found on Meetup, and she turned my world completely into the most amazing wonderland I've ever experienced, and we have been just building since. I've been doing Reiki for many, many years now. I create and design necklaces and cut pendulums, and I work with the crystals. I do energy work as well. I also do oracle card reading. Our location has many aspects. So we have people that come in and do massage therapy or tarot card readings or meditational shifting, astro travel, you name it. I could go on for 45 minutes. There's
Yeah,
hundreds of
you're
different
always
things
having
here.
something
Yes.
going on.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
classes where you can come in and create your own necklace or bracelets. Where you can come in on the October 12th, we're doing an animal hide drums. You can come in and build your own hide drum. We get the actual hides in, and then we soak them, and you come in and you create. It's a whole ceremonial thing, and you get to go home with your drum. And so it's pretty awesome. We've got one big one down there, if you can see.
And I see that you also do a drum circle.
We do a
And
drum
that's out
circle
at
once a month.
out of beach.
It used to, well, in the summer we do it at Illinois State Beach down in Wadsworth, but now it'll be here for the rest of the year because now it'll be too cold to go to the beach.
Yeah.
So we do it here from 2 to 4 p.m. on the third Sunday of each month. The third Wednesday of each month is our Mind Metaphysical Discussion Group, and that is trippy. I mean, you can come and talk about everything and anything, and if you are looking into metaphysical or you're learning, it's hard to have a conversation with family members or your normal friends who look at you like you have three heads. But pretty much everybody at the table has three heads, so
Yeah.
it works out really well. And we learn from each other. What podcasts do you listen to? What books do you read in?
Yeah.
What classes have you taken? How do you feel about this? What do you think about that? And there's no judgment. Like, it's the most chill group you'll ever be involved in. And we just learn, I mean, we have people from all aspects and all walks of life. And I really enjoy that. And Gail is my very good friend who is sort of like a partner here. She helps and does a lot of different things, but she came up with the idea of the Mind Metaphysical Group, and it's really been great. And then we do Reiki Share twice a month, so you can come, play with the energy, learn how to move the energy. And then if you want to move forward, we teach Reiki, level 1, 2, 3, and Master Teacher. So you can come and learn and actually get certified and
So
become a Reiki Master yourself.
you brought up, before we get in, my favorite thing is the crystals and the rocks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But let's get into, so you speak a lot about Reiki, and I'm sure not everybody knows what that means or what benefits you can get from it. But can you give like a generalized overview of what Reiki means?
So Reiki can do a lot of different kinds of healing to the body. But so I don't heal anyone. I facilitate you to do your own healing. So I raise my vibration to a very high level to a very healing level. And then I also have, in my Reiki, as a practitioner, I also have something called a beamer, which is a frequency-based pad that you lay down on, which puts your body into a healing frequency. So that even boosts it up even more. And you'll find those at like the beamer is known in like cancer centers and major rehabs. It's an expensive little toy to have, but I absolutely love it. And so it is, but that also gets you into the right frequency. And then I just sort of have you come up to match my frequency, and then you do the healing. I go into the areas, I can remove the negative energy physically myself. I can find lower vibrational energy and literally pull it off of the body. I actually pull it in and then release, and then I can take universal energy, a higher light or higher white light, and then just sort of put that back into the body to replace those spaces that we've taken the darker energy out of. And so a lot of people can get up and feel amazingly different within 2 minutes of getting off the table. They're just like, poof, they're almost wobbly. It can change your mood, it can change your attitude, it can change your health, your pain levels. We use it a lot for, there's other things you need to do. You can't, I have people who do come in, who leave and then they don't do any of the work.
Yeah.
You know, they just go out in the world and they get rejacked back up, and then they call me and go fix me.
So what would be the extra work that you recommend them doing?
So when I get into the field, I work with your guides. So you have guides that are with you always.
Like spirit guides.
You have your spirit guides. So you have your higher self, which is to your left shoulder here. And so your spirit guide has shows me a male presence, energy-wise. I don't see him in visual, but they flash little visuals in front of my head. So it's easy sometimes when I'm working. I have my eyes closed most of the time in the Reiki session, but I can do it with my eyes open as well. But so he's showing me, so you have been around since before the pyramids. So your first life on this earth was a very, 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 very long time ago. And so they show me like the desert lands and that. And so, and he is a very large presence, healthy, strong, which would have been the survival list. That's why you were still, that's why you made it, because you weren't, the weak ones didn't survive back then. So he shows me that presence, which means that that's when you started. And then he keeps all of your records, which is, he is you, but it's just, that's your higher self. So when we come in, we take a little fragment of our spirit and we go, okay, we're going to stick you in this avatar and you're going to play this game, and I'm going to collect all the data. It's like Mario Brothers. Did you go through that hole? Did you hit that coin? There's secrets to this world that we live in. So when you do a past life regression, or you do a where you want to go back and see what your past life were, someone else is going, they tap into this person, and or this individual, and they pull that information because it's all stored there. They call it your Akashic records. And so it's just basically a file of everything you've ever done, every word you've ever spoken, every language you've ever spoke. And then you have secondary guide. You actually have two. So there's two to your right shoulder. And so they're two different energies. One is male, one is female. And so what usually happens is our other guides, one will be in a lifetime with us and then we'll go on to continue learning or strengthening our soul, and they'll go, I'm going to hang back and I'm going to help you from this side. And so they sort of become our guide. And so they'll manipulate time, they'll make you forget your keys, you have to go back to the car, and then you come back in the house and you forgot your coffee cup when you found your keys, and you're getting frustrated, but they're like, no, you're not leaving yet.
They're doing it for a reason.
Right. Everything is purposeful.
So they're keeping me, they're keeping money out of my pocket on purpose?
Well, they might be stopping you from getting in an accident.
Right.
They might be making sure that you meet a particular person who isn't going to be there till 10 minutes later. Every time you're in line, you should always pay attention to who's in front of you and who's behind you. Even if you don't say hi to them, if you just notice them and take a good look at them, you'll start seeing them over and over and over again. Because
certain people you'll start
seeing. Certain people, they want to bring, they're trying to get you to meet up. Like my husband and I were in many places together as younger people, and we never met. same location, same vacation, all of that. And you just don't see each other, you don't click. And then one day, we end up working at the same location, and it happens. But it took my guide many chances to get me to connect before I actually connected with him.
So if I wanted to work with all of my people that I have with me, is that something that I do through Reiki with you?
You can do it.
Or is that something, or is it called something different?
So with Reiki, I open the fields up so I can work with your guides, also your grandmother, who has chosen to be a guide. So she's with you, and so she's never not with you. Like,
okay.
It's a great thought, and even when you're in the bathroom,
Kinda weird.
she's there. It's like it's great.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Thanks. You know, but it is the energy, and they are very protective of us, and they're very helpful to make sure that we get and do what we need to do. Strengthen us when we're sad and when we're down and we're low. We got that little, no, you can do it. And, you know, sometimes that you can do it isn't really from us. It's like, okay, but yeah, it's a wonderful thing. But in Reiki, I open my fields and I allow anyone that wants to come in for your highest good to come in and talk. And as we started, I was saying, I gridded my whole building because no lower vibrations can come in here. Okay. So when you walk in, it's chill because nothing no low energies can come in here. If you had something attached to you, it's outside the building, and it'll wait for you till you leave.
So that was going to be my next question. How do you protect yourself from the negative energies that are out there if you only want the higher power? There's
a lot of things that you can do to shield or to grid. That is Gal's mastery. Gal is she's amazing at that. She works with something called body code and body talk. And she also does a lot with shielding and protecting. I believe in black tourmaline highly, or any of the darker stones, black obsidian. I always have black sheen obsidian on, and I always have labradorite on. Okay. No matter what I do. Those two stones stay on my body. One is a higher connector, and one sort of keeps black sheen obsidian sort of throws it back at whoever it's coming from. So you don't really take it on. So it just sort of keeps it from your bridge. Black tourmaline protects you from negative energy, all negative energies, not just, and shungite as well, like from your cell phone, from other things. It's microwaves. If you're still not smart enough and you still use a microwave, people hopefully have woken up enough that they don't do that to themselves anymore, but it will keep you from that. The TV, the Wi-Fi in the house are very dangerous things to have. You know, people we're so used to our information. Right. So, but there's a lot of ways to protect. Orgonite is one of the other things. Orgonite is a transmutation item, so it's used non-magnetic materials, so copper, aluminum, nickel, brass, silver, gold, and it creates a...
They did.
They did. There. Right when you said stop. That was fabulous.
We're going to pick up with...
Okay. So orgonite is a transmutation. So it takes non-magnetic materials along with a plastic polymer, and it creates a blocker for negative energy. So, it doesn't block it, it transmutes it. It takes it into the polymer at a lower frequency, but then it sort of knocks it around between the non-magnetic materials until it gives it an attitude adjustment, and then once it's at a higher vibration frequency, it releases it out of the plastic. Okay. So I originally came upon that, which is a short but pretty cool story. I had a friend ask me if I wanted to go for a walk. He had a buddy that wanted to show us something, and I went, yeah, why not? Not doing anything, Thursday night. This guy came by, there were 6 of us, and we went down Round Lake. There's a pathway back off Rollins Road, and it's underneath the big towers. You know, those huge
electric lines?
Yeah, so they make like a nice walkway because, you know, that's a real healthy place to go walk around. Yeah. Which I had no clue at the time. I'm like, this is great. We could have a picnic out here. Yeah. But the guy, we were walking, and he says, hey, I got something. And he pulls out a case, and he's got halogen bulbs, you know, like the ones you'd put under your kitchen lamp. And so he puts them between our fingers, so we've got the prongs. And we'll all start walking, and we get within 100 feet of this, and we all light up. Yep. Literally. It was the coolest thing, and I'm going, this is weird. And we walk past it, and then as get about 100 feet or so, and then it goes away, goes down. And they're still sort of flickering, you know, for about a good 50 feet. But then we did this for 3 of them. And then he looked at us,
They're on their jog back. So you did it with 3 of you.
Yeah, so then we got to the third one, and he says, well, okay, here's what we're going to do. And we put the bulbs away, and we walked back to the one in the middle. And he pulls out a shovel, and he opens this rolling case that he's got. It's got these big, ugly blocks, and they're made with fiberglass, but they're organite. And there's a couple, about five pounds a piece at least. So we dig holes, and we put them in the ground up against the metal. On all 4 corners, we bury it. And then we left, and he said, well, we'll meet up about 10 days, come back. So we made plans a couple of weeks later to go, and we went for the walk again. We grabbed our light bulbs up, and he had us sign them with our initials so that we could prove that they were the same bulbs, you know. And we start walking. We light up at the first one. We get to the second one, we don't light up. We get to the third one, we light back up again. And he's like, this is organite. And so there's a actual website that people go on, and every...
At least the kids are active.
That's
not on
awesome.
their-
It's the
not on
it's
their
the
cell
karate
phones.
it's the karate classes, I think, is what they're doing.
At least they're not on their cell phones,
That's
right?
awesome. I've never seen it because they only do it on Mondays apparently. So we learned about this, and the website, you go online and you see all of them, and you choose if you sign up to do 4, or 3, you know, and then you pick where you want to go, whatever ones are still red, and then once you do it, it turns blue. And so, and to find out afterward, you know, first of all, I'm like, oh heck yeah, I'm in. I love that. It's like, it does make it a lot more fun, I gotta say. Yay.
They're going to get tired.
The poor little kid in the back.
They're going to get tired soon.
Still doing it. That would be me, only I'd be sitting here waiting for him to run back.
Yeah.
But they, so I, you know, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But it cost about $500 to make these things, which I
Holy
didn't have any
cow.
comprehension of when
Yeah.
I first did it. But I did sign up to do 4, and apparently it's illegal to bury these.
Why?
That you would have to ask the government why they wouldn't want you to bury them.
They
But
know why.
But yeah, so, you know, it's illegal. And so, of course, I pick a forest preserve, which is even more illegal.
Yeah.
And out at 2 in the morning with carrying my little organites on my back and my shovel. And but I got my 4 done. And then that led me to making organite. And then as I'm making it, I decided, I'm like, you know what? Because I used to make bags of crystals for like protection. So we have a limousine company as well. So I drive early mornings. I come here, I work, and then I drive again in the evening sometimes. And I put these crystals in my glove boxes of all my cars. Now we've had our company for 13 years. And for the last 10 years, they've had protection crystals in them. And we are the only limo company I know of that has had no incidents in 10 years. So it's pretty cool because, you know, you can protect, you know. Of course, I put my angels on my corners too. There's a lot more to it. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. But I used to make these bags, you know, for weight loss or for protection or for abundance or for money. There's certain crystals that'll bring those vibrations in. So I started embedding them into the organite. So then you have the organite, which looks like a pretty paperweight, but then it's got these transmutions in it. And so there's things for addiction, there's things for anger. You can get these crystals, and if you've got somebody in your life who, you know, might have some anger issues, you can just put some duct tape and tape it under their bed. They don't have to know it's there, you know. But if you're sleeping over it, you're going to get this benefits throughout the night, whether or not you're open to the concept. The vibration is still going to be there. The frequency is still going to help.
So I think that's going to be my next question. Before the question though, so Trish and I both have the organite pyramids on each side of the bed.
Yeah.
But, so I think some people might get the impression that you could make them a little bag of crystals for attracting money, and they just stick it in their pocket and they go home, and then they come back a week later. Well, it hasn't made me any money. Why? There's more to it
There's
than
much
just
more
grabbing the
to
bag.
abundance.
And going.
Abundance in itself is, you have to put yourself in the same frequency. So if you want money, you have to put yourself in the frequency of that it comes to you. Money is, you know, time is an illusion. Money is not real. We all just play with it. It comes in, it goes out. It comes in, it goes out. We've been doing this our whole entire lives. You find a quarter as a kid, you go to the candy store, like,
Right.
you know, and it's gone. And then a week later, you know, you find another quarter. But if you want abundance, you just create it. You just bring it to you. But in wanting, you know, I've wanted to win the lottery for my whole entire life. I have not manifested the lottery ticket yet. I still have hope, but you know.
Still working on it.
But I have abundance in so many other ways. Financially, I'm abundant, and it flows from so many. You don't want to say, well, I want this. You tell the universe, I need abundance, or I need a way to put the new porch on my house that I want.
Show me the
And
opportunity.
it will manifest whatever it is that's going to be for that. It may not be what you think it's going to be. And that's what a lot of people want to put limitations. You know, I want a new car, and the lottery, of course, is the fastest, easiest way, is what we think, to get what we want. You know, and the universe knows better. That's why it hasn't given it to me yet. I wasn't ready to handle it. Now I am. I really am. So when it's ready, I'm ready. I know exactly what I'm going to do with the money. So, you know, I'm not going to go off and buy a yacht, and there's so many other things that need to be done.
So at this point, you can pick a crystal, touch a crystal, and you can get energy. You personally can feel the energy.
I can
from
feel
that
crystal, and I can also feel if the crystal's got other shit on it. So people will come in and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I got this at a garage sale, and it's like, yeah, you know, or they'll be, what do you think of this? And I'll pick it up and be like, whoa, okay. So we need to clear this, and you can clear them fairly easily. Bag of brown rice, 79 cents a jewel. Actually, probably $1.79 now because everything's gone up 3 times. But you just pour a bag of brown rice in a bowl and lay your crystals in it, and it'll draw
Really?
the negative energy off.
So
Yes.
I thought
Himalayan
you were
sea
supposed
salt,
to do it in sea salt
sea
water.
salt or sea salt water is going to very clear. When you work energy work like I do, I submerge mine into a heavy deep sea salt water. Because you want to completely clear everything off of it. And then full moon charges, so even gold and silver. So if you have a beautiful full moon, you want to set your stuff in your windowsill. When I was home and I worked out of my house, and I had 600-700 pieces of organite, and probably I still probably have 400 or 500 pounds of crystals at home on top of what I carry here, and I would take them all outside every full moon. It was a very busy day for me.
To charge them all.
And then get them out, yeah. And then I'd lay clear plastic over them all so that it would be, the moisture wouldn't, you know, the dew on the organite. But yeah, it was a good process. My grandkids, they would help. And but now I have these beautiful windows, so the full moon comes right in, and I don't have to. It's fabulous. And I chose the place because of the way the location looks and the way it works, and the way the sunrise and sunset come in, and so it was pretty strategic. When I found this place, we had a hard time getting in here, but it kept putting me off, and I was getting frustrated because I was like, I wanted to be in here 6 months earlier than I was. And there again, the universe. My dad passed away, and when he was toward the end, that last 3-4 months. There was a lot of struggle, a lot of getting him back and forth to the VA and doing what we needed to do, and I wouldn't have had the time to be with him, especially the last week of his life. I wouldn't have could 24 hours a day because there was just no way if this was going. I had enough with the other that I could still. My husband, thank God, was he's amazing. But he took over my that responsibility 100% at home, and I just stayed with my dad, and it was a blessing. But had I had this place at the time that I wanted it, that wouldn't have worked out so well. So they held me off just long enough to get through what I needed to, and then it was like, okay, now you're free. Now everything fell into place. And it was like, okay, and I've learned to just, okay, I'll wait, and I ask, is this right? But every time I thought, I'm like, well, maybe I need to find another place, and they're like, nope, here.
Yeah, this was
And
it.
I was
It's
like,
just not your time yet.
No, but it was like,
Yeah.
no, here, no, here. They say, well, I want to move. I'm like, nope, I belong right here. My roots, I can feel my roots in the ground here. And Gray's like, I can't go somewhere else. I'm not supposed to.
So on YouTube, I got obsessed with, there's a girl on YouTube that she uses dosing rods.
Dowsing rods, I've got them in the
And
back.
what she does is she lets people go on her, she has like a Google page, and she lets people go on there and ask questions, input questions, and she gets to the questions as she can. So there was an interesting question I thought that came up that she said, that somebody asked about, it was about a crystal, and she said, or the person asked, is there information stored on crystals that we don't have the technology
Yes.
to read yet?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I thought, and of course the dosing rod said yes and everything. I thought that was super interesting because I watched another video about the green emerald tablets.
Yes. Tho is amazing.
Yeah.
And if you haven't read them, the audio, there's an audio version now, audiobook of Tho's Emerald Tablets that is done in a more current language.
Okay.
Because the original is the very, thous, and it gets a little muddled for some. I mean, I've done it probably 25 times. I've gone through the book, the original, and then now the modernized, to make sure that there was nothing that's missed in it. But the new ones is everything that the other one was. So you don't have to try and compare. I've already done all that. But it will give you, it literally gives you a blueprint. So most people, do you realize that your head should face due north when you sleep? If you are
I think
not,
you've told us that
yeah, if
before.
your head is not facing due north, you are not going fully into where you're supposed to be at night. Your astral travel is, all your things
Yeah,
you
my
have to.
sleep's terrible.
Yeah,
So I might
change,
not be
change
sleeping.
it.
Yeah.
So even if you're sleeping across the bottom of the bed, doesn't make a difference where the headboard is. Lay so that your head is facing due north and see how it changes.
Okay.
And there's infants. They'll turn from 3 months old to like 12 months old. They did a big study, and these little babies, they will keep shifting themselves until their head is due
Until
north,
their
and then,
head.
or they'll be like this, and their body is this way, and their head's this way, but they won't go to sleep until, and then they're out. And it's a very cool thing. I changed the way, and it's amazing. Like the depthness of sleep that I get now is so much deeper. And,
So-
Babies change that. Like if babies do that, and adults like.
Move
Adults
them?
do it by how the
like,
room looks.
Yeah, like where did we ruin this? Where
Well,
did we get us?
we-
By wanting to set the room up so it looks
I know,
nice.
I'm like,
Right.
everybody
Feng
else
shui.
has been
Yeah,
rearranged
feng
today.
shui.
Yeah. Well, and a
Right.
lot of people, it's we've been reprogrammed generation after generation. There's so many things that we've been programmed to believe, like fluoride. Brush your teeth. It's good for you. Fluoride treatments. This is going to make your teeth strong. In Europe, they'll prove to you that that's not true.
Right.
And it also destroys your brain. Your pineal gland, which is in the center of your brain, is a very little tiny piece. And they just did a 2,000 people autopsy on 1,000 Alzheimer patients and 1,000 dementia patients. And every brain bigger than an avocado worth of calcite. So it absorbs
It
it.
calcifies it.
It
right?
calcifies it, and it just keeps taking over the brain. And of course, you can't think straight, and your brain
Yeah.
starts to deteriorate. But the autopsies, I mean, you can look it up. It's unbelievable looking. And but they say if you can get rid of the fluoride in your water, the fluoride in your toothpaste, I mean, it's a difficult process because it comes through your shower head. So you need a filter on your shower head. You need a filter on your bathroom sink if you're brushing your teeth, or a full house one, which can cost a lot. Filters in your refrigerator, but the filters in your refrigerator to take out the fluoride as well. So you have
Right.
to make sure you're getting the right filter. And osmosis systems are fabulous,
Expensive.
but not everybody. Well, I actually got a really good deal. I have one here and one at home, and they were from the For Patriot, and I paid $200.
Oh.
I got two. $199, buy one get one free at the time. So I'm like, that's not a bad deal. The filters themselves, of course, cost a couple $100s that you have to change out every 6 months. But you're getting, you get there as you go. You have to start to create what you need. But that's like, we were taught that it was good for us, and so we believed it because our parents believed it, and their parents believed it because they were told that it was. And so we do that. It's like cow's milk. We give it to our children. Cows have 4 stomachs. It takes all 4 stomachs for a baby cow to digest its mother's milk. But yet we'll give it to our infants that have one little tiny stomach.
Right.
But because milk's good for you, it's going to help you. Strong bones. And it's like, oh, bad stomachs and intestinal system, but strong bones.
Yeah.
Like, not really quite a deal out.
Yeah,
so.
that's, I think, is a whole separate conversation about the foods and everything that's
Yeah,
in
health
it.
is, and that's what I've been studying mostly. I've worked with John Hopkins on their psilocybin study last year. I've been studying psychotropics and plant medicine and mental health, and just trying to figure out. I have 11 grandkids and the ADHD thing, and behavior disorder, and how the foods trigger, and you can. I found I can learn, I can understand, but trying to get my children to understand.
Yeah.
Don't give these things to your kid, and they go, but they like it. And
Right.
It's like, yeah,
It keeps them from screaming.
yeah, they like it.
So let's get into, since you brought up psychotropics. So some of the people that come on the podcast that we've had on, and some of my own struggles and Trishy's struggles, is dealing with PTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get onto that one for next year.
Yeah.
So John Hopkins is doing a study at Great Lakes Naval Base for PTSD.
Okay.
And it is going to be, so their psilocybin studies are 19 weeks of psychotherapy and 4 main doses. And their doses are 10 grams.
Like
That's
heroic doses?
10 grams.
Yeah.
And that's serious stuff. I have seen massive changes in people doing 3.5 grams, a few guided sessions, and really clearing out a lot of trauma and a lot of past stuck things. I really do think mushrooms are going to save the world if we just allow, not only just the psychedelic portion, but like lion's mane, brain fog, what it clears up, turkey tail. It's been known to reverse breast cancer. Every woman on the planet should be taking turkey tail capsule every single morning, like we take our vitamin C. It should just be automatic. Like, you got boobs, here you go, take this. Because, why would you not? If you have the opportunity to defend against something like breast cancer, especially if it's something that you've seen before in your family.
Sure.
And it's a simple process. But, people are just starting to wake up to realize what mushrooms can do. I drink mud water. I don't drink coffee anymore. And I've been drinking this coffee substitute for 3 years now. And I've never been more alert or clear-minded or focused than I've been in the last few years.
Do you know what the effects, or how the mushrooms actually work when you do a heroic dose? What it actually does to your brain, to not just...
So I know the difference between, like, a microdose works with your neuron pathways. So when you're taking a microdose, you're taking such a small dose that it's literally like taking a vitamin C capsule. You don't even
feel
notice.
Like weird effects.
You have
from it.
the first day you might feel a little bit of happiness, but that's going to go away really quickly because your body's going to become immune to it after a while.
Okay.
And so you would take, in most people, it's like 0.01 or 0.2. In your case, you'd probably be a 0.2 because just body weight and size. And you would take just one capsule for once a day for 3 days, and then you wouldn't take it for 3 days. Then you'd take it one a day for 2 days, and then not for 2 days. And you move that back and forth because you want to keep the mind sort of confused on how much is coming in and when, because once it gets used to it, it'll just sort of stop using it. So if it was the first day, you just sort of get like a little charge. And this is in the really fine neural pathways in the brain. So it'll go a little bit up in a bunch of different pathways, and then it'll stop. And then the next time you get it, it's going to go up a little bit farther again. But then the third day when you give it to it, it's going to go, oh, we're going to get this all the time. So it's only going to go a tiny, tiny bit up, and it's just going to stop. And then you stop it for a couple of days. Then when you give it back to it, it's like, oh, we got to use this, woo, and it just shoots up. So, but it takes months. It's not something that happens in 4 days. I've had people microdose for 3 to 6 months. But you will definitely be able to there's a great website that was created. I know it's on iPhone. I don't know if it's on Androids, but it's a microdosing, like a measurement scale. So you take all these tests on this app, and it tells you, weight-wise, this is about how much you should be taking, and so you take these tests, and then you come back 6 weeks later, and you take these tests again. And you start to see where your neural pathways are opening and what you're more capable of than you were.
Okay.
And everybody sees some kind of a change. You know, and if you wait the 6 weeks or 8 weeks and then come back and do it, you're definitely going to see a lot of differences. But it's a free app and it's really cool. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's like Microdose Me. It's like super
Okay.
simple. And I like I said, I know it's on Apple, but I don't know if it's on Android. But I imagine somebody's got one out there.
Where do
People
you
are dropping like the insanity. Everybody's waking up. Everybody is starting to create websites and
I've seen the
podcasts
change,
and-
yeah.
I have too. I have so many people walk in here every day and they're just like, yeah, I'm home. And it's like,
So,
yes.
How
it
do
feels
how do
like it.
people decide? So we also need to talk about ayahuasca because that's
Ah,
been
yeah.
around and it's
Yes.
had its day in the sun, I guess, again. But
Oh, yeah, there's a
where's
lot
the
about ayahuasca going on.
where do you, as a person, like, okay, so let's say I have PTSD and I want to do something about it to change.
So
The way I
if you
think.
if you were doing a smaller dose, like 3.5, that's what they call the bridge. Some people can hit the bridge in 2. Very few that I know of have ever like crossed over that.
Mhm.
So you would take your dose, inner self, quiet, dark room, something hot like tea or cocoa. I would suggest if you like hot cocoa or even cacao, you just grind it up to a powder, mix
Mhm.
it in, and then just drink it. And then you just go lay down. You know, if you can't get the room dark enough, put an eye mask on. And if you put on any kind of sound, make it like a binaural beat or a frequency music. Nothing that you can connect to.
Okay.
No music that, like, you
Yeah.
don't want to put on the Bluty Moose or, little Pink Floyd. It's
Yeah.
not where you want to go.
No Pink Floyd?
No,
Really?
no Pink Floyd. You would think, but no. But it will take you, if you go into, you have connective memories to music especially. So you have to be, there you want to be out and just, you'll go into self. You'll go in and you will discover things that you probably already know. And you're not really gone. You still can feel your body. You'll still have the urge to get up, maybe go to the bathroom. It's not like you can't get up and walk around. But you'll see what they call the calypso, which is, that what do they call those things you used to turn with the colors?
Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you'll get into where everything sort of looks like that fragmented kaleidoscope looking, beautiful, and then you'll find the pathways and the doorways, and there's a lot there. You have a lot of information, and you can discover things of self that you can't any other way. I 5 years ago, now I grew up. I got married really young. I had kids. I was the brownie leader, the Sunday school teacher, and the dare mom. Like, there was no drugs.
Yeah.
Like, didn't even think about that kind of stuff. Then when I started to go to school and I was studying psychotropic, I was just like, I was floored as I was learning about mushrooms and the marijuana and how they were made illegal even though they don't meet any of the standards of being an illegal drug. Because mushrooms, you cannot OD on mushrooms. You could eat a whole semi-load, and the only thing you're going to do is throw up from overeating. Like, it can't kill you. And that is one of the major, scheduled 1 drug. You have to have more than a 50% death rate, and there's none. So nobody does mushrooms and then wakes up in the morning and goes, I want to do that right now. I want to do those right now. Like, it just doesn't happen. You take weeks to facilitate sometimes what you've experienced. It's not just like, it's not like a joint where people will smoke a little bit and then the next 5 hours later or whatever.
You wanna do it again.
It's completely different than that. And mushrooms should not be used as a party drug. A microdose, chocolate microdose or something, you can take that and be in a if it chills you down from the setting where you can't handle like a lot of people, if you're an introvert, that's one thing. But like, you don't want to do 3.5 grams and be in a party setting. It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
It isn't. That's not what it's for. And you have to have a lot of respect for the plants too, because every plant, especially the plant medicines like ayahuasca, like mushrooms, they all have their purpose. And if they're used properly, they are the greatest healing tools. I mean, what's funny is ayahuasca, as I was studying, sorry, I revert. I go back here. So when I started studying, my first thing was I was supposed to write a paper on acid.
Okay.
Now, I'd read everything there was to know. I'd seen videos. I watched it. I mean, and I knew everything, bicycle day and all the rest of it, right? But I'd never done it. So I was just like, well, so I talked to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, being me, decided I'm clinically I'm going to do this as an experiment so I can write my paper.
Sure.
And I set myself up and my glass of water, my blanket, my garbage can in case I get sick, and da-da-da-da. And I sit down in my living room, and there's my family portrait. First mistake. Really big mistake. And, and I'm going to write notes. Because first, the effects to the eyes. Okay, this is when it happened. Then within seconds, I am gone and sucked down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a son who has had a lot of surgeries and a lot of pain in his life. And I was always had to be strong. So it took me back to every moment where I should have cried and I didn't.
Really?
Everything that ever happened, and I cried and I cried and I cried. I mean, hours, just exhausted, and every moment and every trauma and everything. And I finally can catch my breath and come out of this. And I go to write on the paper, and I look at the time, and it's been 12 minutes. And I went,
oh my God, really?
Only thing I wrote was long fucking day. Apologize for the language, but that's all it was going to be. And in every page, the only thing you could see when I came back out was all I was like. There was other scribbles that I couldn't read, but that was the only thing that I managed to pull back from where I was at. But it was extremely healing, but I would not do that again because that's way too long. Now, mushrooms is about 4 to 6 hours, and you can step out. Mushrooms, again, you're not completely gone. You are allowed access to fifth dimension, but if you go, you know what, I don't want to do any more of this, I'm not ready for this,
Mm-hmm.
You can literally step right out of it.
Really?
Yep, you can come right back to your body and go, I'm done. And then you will just start to clear out. It works with you. So, and that's a big thing for me. That's why I fell in love with them, because I have slight control issues, as my husband would tell you, just little ones. And so I don't like to be out of control. Mm-hmm. So that was always a big thing for me. And
how does that compare to, so I think a lot of people, especially that have experienced trauma, they don't like to be out of control. They like to know their environment. So how are you going into it and choosing ayahuasca, mushrooms, or even now they're talking about MDMA?
Yeah. So my big one was I did the 3.5 dose, and I went through and I learned a lot, and I felt pretty good throughout it. And then I decided I was going to do a bigger dose.
That's the mushrooms.
Of the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Now, I had trauma from when I was younger. Spent about $30,000 on therapy, and I thought I was good. Like, I'm good. I got this. I learned it. I worked through it. I'm okay. And I got there, and they were like, "What about this?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm done with that." And they're like, "Yeah, you." I went, "No, not right now. Not right now." And they went, "Okay," and it just sort of drifted out of sight.
Oh.
And then I went on to a few other things, and then I went, "You know what? Let's bring that back." It was my own conscious. I wasn't forced, but they went, all right. And then it was, all right, this is done. We're done with this. We learned everything we can from it, and it obliterated into infinite little dust.
So that trauma that you had,
it was gone.
It's gone now.
It was literally, it was gone. I got up the next day. I used to be triggered by certain sounds, certain smells, like TV, certain scenes in a movie, or and they love to put those ones out there because there's something that draws to people. But it would trigger me in a way where and I didn't always know. I didn't identify the scent until later.
Okay.
But all of those things were put in my path over the next 4 days, and none of them triggered me. I literally went through life without, and I noticed it a couple of weeks later where I was like, oh, yeah.
I think that's so fascinating that it just flips a switch in your brain.
It just changed
and
it.
all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah. And that was one thing. The other thing was my third mushroom experience where I went, well, okay, that 6 did that. Why don't we try 8? Because, a little crazy. I was dyslexic. my whole entire life. I never saw STOP on a stop sign. I
What
knew
did
that's
you
what
see?
it was.
What did you see?
Sometimes TOSP, sometimes everything moved.
So it was just
You know,
jumbled.
it would always move around. The letters always moved out of page. And so reading was always very difficult for me.
Okay.
And I was in, and I mean, I experienced many things, and I try not to sound too crazy, and some people are like, ooh, but if you've met your dragon mother, like, it's not really that far gone, because they are there, and there is things that we don't realize in this dimension. And they brought the dyslexia in front of me and said, are you done with this? And I said,
Are you done with it? Like you were like keeping it?
yeah, I was keeping it.
Yeah.
Like, did you learn everything you need? Okay. Do you want this? I'm like, no, let's get rid of it. And it was just like a half-assed thing in the middle of everything else that was going on, and it was gone. And I woke up in the morning, and I'm one that I like to do school. I like to learn, so I had homework. So I always try to take at least one course, and I go in every direction like a cat. Like, I get, okay, I want to learn about this, I want to learn about that, and I just keep moving. So I had opened up the book, and usually it takes me about 30 minutes to get through a paragraph. And I started reading and not really realizing, and I'd flip the page, and then I flipped the page again.
Just going right through it.
And I went, after flipping the second page, I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm not fighting anymore to read this. It's just there. And it was just gone. And I went, this is going to change the world. Like, I'm 1,000% in. This is my plant. I'm connected to it.
So what's the difference with ayahuasca then? What's the
So now-
experience with ayahuasca?
So
that's
ayahuasca
different?
for me, and ayahuasca treats everyone a little differently. So mushrooms are gentle and they work with you. I
Okay.
mean, there are different kinds. There's peanut sembi, there's golden teacher,
Can you have a bad experience with mushrooms?
There's nothing is bad or good in the world. It's how you perceive it. Nothing happens to you. Everything happens for you. So however it comes across, if you go, oh, that's bad, that's scary, that's what you're supposed to be facing. That's what you're supposed to be getting through. That's what you're supposed to obliterate. If you get up in front of somebody and you've got PTSD because you were in a battle somewhere, and you get in there and there's somebody holding a gun to you, your response is to go, yeah, no, not real. Literally, not real. And then guess what? It's gone.
Okay.
You've literally beat it. And there's no going back from that. It's just gone.
So then what's the difference with ayahuasca?
So ayahuasca is like your grandmother who comes to help you clean the house. She is loving and she's strong. And so you have your kitchen and you have your bathroom. So Mother Ayahuasca, there's a very strict diet. And if you stick with that diet before you go there, you will have cleaned your bathroom.
A strict diet beforehand.
Beforehand, yes.
Okay.
You don't want pork, you don't want salt, you want to lower down your sugar intake. A lot of people will go in and they'll have not done that work, and she will clean your bathroom and you won't like it. Okay, so if you don't clean it beforehand, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to end up, with your pants having to be changed. It's just not going to be a good situation. So, and then there is the kitchen, and the kitchen is more your emotional status, your how you've communicated, or those kind of things, what you're holding back. And so if this part is clear, then she can really work here a lot better.
Okay.
And so that's what you need. First, the body will purge whatever's bad in it, what it needs to clean out, toxins, and that's almost everybody purges during an ayahuasca at some point in some way.
Okay.
Some people will just a couple of little bits. Some people will fill the frickin' bucket that they brought with. It just depends on what you have to let go of. And you can do ayahuasca over and over and over, and every time you're going to purge something. It's going to happen. And it's really bizarre, because once it happens, you're like, thank you. Thank you for releasing that. You're really grateful that you just threw up, and that's not been my experience in life. I don't like to throw up.
Yeah.
But when it happens in ayahuasca, you literally are like, thank you, because you feel and you see what is coming out of you, and you know that you're releasing, and you can almost hold the emotion of whatever it is and just watch it just dump out. And so it does do a lot of clearing very quickly. It has been known to take people who have been drug addicts and make them not an addict the next day. I mean, it's really serious stuff. And again, you have to prepare, and there's a lot more to ayahuasca. My experience, I've done it a few times in the last couple of years, with the same shaman who I absolutely love, and Lalo is amazing. And he has a great way of holding everyone's energy. But beforehand, you do hape and sananga and cabo. So
What's that?
hape is a tobacco that is blown up your nose. They have like this little pipe, and they blow it up your nose into your head, and you go, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
It is not fun at all.
And
This
what's
is
the
not.
purpose?
But there are people that do it all the time. Apparently, they think it's fun. I did not enjoy it at all. It clears the neural pathways to like open you up to release other stuff. Like
Okay.
it's a preparation, and then you do sanange, which is the eye drops. And these eye drops are a plant, and they help you to see the things you don't want to see. But it does burn. And I'm like, and he's always like, no drama. And I'm like, oh, there's all kinds of drama going on with me.
And you do all
like
this right before the ayahuasca?
a couple hours beforehand.
Okay.
You're preparing
So
yourself.
it's like an all-day
for-
event?
Pretty much, yeah. Then you'll do like a little bit of yoga and a little bit of breath work and prepare yourself in that way. And then you do the toad. So the toad is, you can see my little circles there. So the toad is a venom from a particular toad that is poisonous. And you can put poison in your body.
Yeah,
Sounds
why
like
not?
a great idea, right? Yeah. So-
Sign me up.
Well, what's really funny is I signed up for ayahuasca. I had no idea I was doing these other things
Yeah.
until I was
I
there.
thought you just drank the ayahuasca and laid down.
Exactly. I was like, oh, there's more? Okay. Yeah, and it was something. But so they take a stick and they burn the end of it, and they burn holes in your arm. You don't really feel it. It's really bizarre. They're superficial, but and then they clean off that, and then they take the venom, which is on a stick, and they get it wet, and they scrape it, and they put it onto the wounds, and so it gets into your body, and
Okay.
basically your body is fighting the poison from the frog, and it is clearing out all kinds of stuff. And you drink 3 liters of water before you let this go.
Wait, so the poison is to cleanse?
To clear out a bunch of really not good stuff that's in you.
Okay.
And you fast, and then you drink the 3 liters of water. And when I released on the ground, you turn around, you're just basically just throwing up, and it's just water.
Yeah.
But I swore I saw black mist come out of the water that were leaving my physical form. And I was like, okay. So, and you're tired and you're exhausted, and it's like, okay, now. And then they like, well, you want to go lay down for a little while, you can take a nap. And then, well, let's do some yoga and let's do some breathing. And then you go into ayahuasca. And
And that's all
ayahuasca's.
before the ayahuasca.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted already.
Exactly.
We haven't even gotten to the good stuff
Yeah, right.
yet.
And then at about 10 o'clock at night, that's when you'll go into ayahuasca. And so the ceremony is done, and it's very, very much intense. And I mean, I've been in an ayahuasca ceremony where there was 35 people. I've been in an ayahuasca
cow.
ceremony where there was 50 people, and I've been in ayahuasca where there was, I think, 16 of us was the littlest one. And that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
And a lot of energy, and a
Lot
lot
of it,
going on
yeah,
around you.
that's what I was thinking.
But you are very much in your own, even though you're aware of somebody wrenching over here or there or whatever, but you're not, you're very much in your own comb of what's going on with you.
How long does it take from the time that you drink the ayahuasca, how long does it take for it to start taking effect?
I would say within 30 minutes. So
it's fairly-
you do take a few capsules before that. So there's an herb that you take that stops you from, or it sort of slows down the effect. Once you put any kind of DMT into the body will break it down. It goes to work immediately. So this is sort of like an inhibitor to stop your body from breaking down the
breaking it down.
ayahuasca. So then you get a longer effect of it. So you take those
Okay.
capsules, you lay down for 15, 20 minutes, and then you come up and you take. And ayahuasca is served in three realms. So you get your cup, and it's not a lot. It's this little tiny like shot glass almost. And you drink that, and then you go and you lay down. And then about an hour in, they call anyone who wants to come up for another cup. Now you physically have to get up and go to the ceremonial space
Yeah.
and receive a second cup.
But you don't have to if you,
You
don't
don't
want
have to, right? And
You'll
then
still get effects from the one.
yeah, you're in the midst of the
Okay.
effects when they're calling you for the second one, and then when they call for the third one, that's what they call the hero doses. If those people are willing to go back up and get their third one, that's something.
So, but
And-
at that point, even after the first two, you're on your journey wherever you're going.
Yeah.
You're still physically capable to stand up, walk, and make the decision
Somewhat-
to
somewhat.
give me another one.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to make the decision, and yeah, you are capable. I mean, you need a little assistance. I have been on the other side, worked with the shaman to hold the space and energy for others, and assist the females to the bathroom. You know, which is usually an outhouse because you're out in the middle of nowhere, and then back, and you know, watching the candles and making sure people are not
Starting
knocking
themselves
over,
on
right,
fire, yeah.
right. I mean, there's things going on. There's
Yeah.
usually quite a large group of assistants
Okay.
to the ayahuasca itself. It's not just the shaman by himself. He usually has a group. He has people that do the music and hold the energy, and then he has watchers, and then he has others that
Okay.
are moving toward medicine, and that's so we're there to assist. And so I've been fortunate enough to be there and be on that. And the one time I decided I'm going to do the fire. I'm going to be a fire keeper because there's a big fire always, and you have to keep the fire pointing in an arrow with the wood toward the altar, even if it's on the outside of the tent because it's raining. And so, of course, the one time I do it, it's a torrential downpour, and I have to do everything I can because you can't let this fire go out. So I'm literally trudging around in the woods with my cell phone trying to pull wood,
Yeah.
and then get back and get it in the fire and keep the fire going. I mean, I did 5 a.m. That fire was still going. I've never been so exhausted in my life. I dislocated my thumb. I wrenched my elbow. I burned my leg. I'm like, you know, so I was like, yeah. And the whole time I'm like, well, I'm just going to watch the fire. That'll be easy. I'll be the fire keeper.
Yeah.
And Mother Ayahuasca was like, oh, yeah? Easy. I show you easy. So
So once the effects start to wear off of the people that are doing it, is it just they stand up and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go grab something to eat and go home, or?
So then there's a second series in the morning. So some people go, I'm going to eat something, and you bring fruit. Everybody brings. There's a huge table of fruit
Okay.
for the morning because you eat fruit, you eat nuts. You don't eat any crap.
Nothing
You're not
else.
going to McDonald's. You're not. No, you just. It's very very simple.
Okay.
And so some people come up and then they're done for the day. They're going to do that. Other people stay and do bufu. So bufu is a frog, which some people know as the psychedelic frog that you lick. We don't have the actual frog there, but we have the chemical that comes out of the frog. And so that is done, and so that's something that you would smoke. So it is heated or vaporized, and then you inhale it, and that is like a 15-minute thing, but when it goes in, it's like, and you're gone into particle.
What does that do?
You're infinite.
Wait, so you
you're
just
completely gone into fifth dimension. You don't even know where you're
You
at.
just came back from a
You
huge
just came-
journey,
you
and now
just-
you're gonna slam it again?
Well, there's some people that just are like, I'm here for the whole thing. Why?
Yeah, why
so
not?
let's do it.
make a weekend out of it.
Yep, literally, it is a whole weekend out of it. And then so
Wow.
you do that, and that's about a 15-minute thing though. And then there's time. There's decompression time, of course, between the two. There's closing the ceremony for the one, opening the ceremony for the other, and then by the time you're done and you get back home, you're like, I need a day to rest, to
Yeah,
recoup.
so
And then you
that's-
need about 4 weeks.
So what's the
To-
effects after that?
So
The process time.
all day, every day, things are coming in. You're downloading. You're getting information. You're getting all kinds of stuff. You're refacilitating the information. The funny part about ayahuasca is you'll come out and you'll have some memories, but not everything is clear.
Okay.
But when you go into meditation or you sit quietly and you think about, okay, now I remember I saw my grandfather. This is okay. So then you're focusing on it. It all starts to come back. Then you're back in the picture. You're back where you were at. And you get to actually experience it now on another level. And so it opens up all these doorways into that dimensional system where
And is that
you
where
can
you
tap
might
back in.
remember, oh yeah, I saw my grandfather and he had this message for me.
Right.
And then but
And
you
then-
won't remember that until
Right,
later?
but you just remember that you saw him. But then if
Okay.
you sit and focus on the fact that you saw him, that whole thing will reopen back up for you. And if you go back to it over and over, there's more information. There's more information.
So right now I feel like I like mushrooms better.
Mushrooms are a much gentler and
Yeah.
easier path.
The
And
ayahuasca sounds very intense.
it is, and you've got to be called to it. You got to you got to feel that pull to Mother Ayahuasca, and it is not for everybody. I would say 5% of the society is truly pulled to ayahuasca, and it's meant for. If you are not pulled toward it, don't do it. It's not. It's there. We had people in our group that, I mean, one young man, his brothers were doing it, his parents were doing it. Like, it was all like, they're like, come do it, because the
Yeah.
parents had done it before, and they knew the healing effects, and they wanted their boys to be, healthy and good. And in certain countries, at 12 years old, you do ayahuasca
But this is
because
just
that's
for
you're becoming a
healing-
man.
This is healing mentally.
This is healing, spiritually, energetically, mentally.
Okay.
And this young man pulls up, and they're like, "Oh, you're here today." He gets out of the car. He's got a McDonald's bag, and I'm thinking, this is not going to go well for you.
I'm here for the party. Let's go.
That's
Yeah.
exactly, and that was his whole mental, was that
And
he
it
was gonna. It
didn't
was
go
gonna be
well.
this, like, and no,
Yeah.
he was two people down from me, and he did nothing but get sick, because he got nothing fun out of it.
Yeah, nothing.
Or no information. All he
Yeah.
had to do was clear his body from the toxins, and he had so many toxins in it that there wasn't enough water to clear him out. You're dry wrenching by the time the whole thing's over, because you got nothing left in you.
Yeah.
You can't drink a Coke and eat a McDonald's burger and show up for ayahuasca. Like, it's just not a good idea.
So what do you know about?
So,
I've heard a lot of studies and stuff about MDMA. And they're using that for post-traumatic stress as well.
now, and MDMA, so ketamine, I
And
did some
ketamine,
studying on
yeah.
ketamine, and that was something that we had looked at doing. Post-traumatic stress can come in many forms from many things.
Right.
So my son having so many surgeries, he has a form of it. And it also can cause a depression, anxiety, attachment. So you get both these things. So like when you're dealing with one, you're pulling in the other, and then it's this way back. And so the ketamine, they were having some amazing effects, and I watched some of the studies on that. But the mushroom studies are coming out higher
Yes.
in the long term. People that are coming off of heroin, they did 500 alcoholics in Cook County, 20-year alcoholics, with mushrooms and the 19 weeks of therapy, and it was like 485 a year later are still sober. Like,
I think mushrooms in
it's
general.
so insane that people can be healed from something that they've held on to, but it isn't just the mushrooms, it's the therapy and the mushrooms. It's
Right, you
going
have
in
to
and
put
finding.
work into it.
Right, going
Yeah.
in and finding. And the book I was talking about earlier, before we started the podcast, it's called It Didn't Start With You. And I think everybody in the world needs to listen to this book, because it really talks about generational connection and how things
Yes.
are passed down. And that has a lot to do with a lot of addictions and a lot of anxiety, that it really doesn't belong to you, but you're bringing it in. And so I get a lot of that when I'm in the room. So when I'm doing Reiki, things come in all the time. Information comes in. People will come in and draw information and tell, and mostly we get energies that come in and send light and love. One story, I had a woman who came in, and I've had a lot of people who have crossed over, and parents, grandparents, kids, whatever, and they'll come in with very loving, beautiful, angelic energy, and it's like, oh. And I have this one woman, and her dad comes in, and he has just passed, and she's just wrapped. She's strung out, and she just can't stop crying. And I said, so what do we want to accomplish today? What are we trying to, like? Where's our? And she said, I just want to be able to. I don't know why. And then he comes in, and he's in my thing going, I don't understand why she's so upset. We weren't that close anyways. And I'm like, I'm not saying that out loud, like.
Why not?
And he's like, tell her to suck it up, Buttercup. It ain't all about her.
Wow.
and this repeated, the same, suck it up, buttercup. It ain't all about you. It ain't all about you. It ain't all about you. It just kept coming across, coming across. I'm like, no, I'm not.
So
She's
cut that
wrecked.
off?
She's wrecked right now. She's like,
Yeah.
she's crying and she's emotional. And the last thing I'm gonna do is throw this at her. Like, whoever you are, get the hell out of here. Like, I'm not dealing with it. So then it starts playing with the radio, messing with the lights in my house, and I'm like, and she goes, what is it? And I said, well, I believe it's your dad, and he has some messages, but I really don't want to repeat them.
Yeah.
And she's like, just tell me. And as soon as I told her, she's like, that's him.
Yeah.
Like, those are his exact words.
So
Every
obviously
day
he
of her
was-
life, it was,
obviously he was
suck
like
it
that.
up and it ain't all about you.
Yeah.
Every single day of her life, she said, I heard those words. So it was like, he just needed her to know that it was him. That,
Oh,
you
okay.
know, that, and he said, he doesn't understand why you're so upset. You weren't that close. And she's like, that's why I'm so upset, because we weren't that close.
Oh,
I didn't get
okay.
to heal. You know, you didn't get to heal from this bad relationship before you died. And now I'll never get the opportunity because now you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, and it's like, yeah.
Have you
But
ever had somebody come in with a bad energy attached to them? Like an evil or
when I
you know,
had
like you
when
see
I
in the
was at
movies?
when I was at my home,
Yeah.
before I was gridded in my house, that week I gridded my house. But yeah, I did have someone come in with something very badly attached. It was a 14-year-old, and it was definitely not something that should be in this child's energy field. And did everything we could, believe that we loosened the attachment. I didn't see it leave,
Mm-hmm.
but life changed afterward for this kid. So I think that we did enough, that, you know, we put up enough guarding and enough shielding and worked with their guides. It was a first experience for me. So I'm
Okay.
not an exorcist by any means, so please don't show up at my place going, my kid's possessed, 'cause I got kids of my own that are possessed. I ain't got no time for that. But no, that's not my forte. I will work with your own energy field and your own energy field, and I don't mind connecting with others that are for your highest good, but lower, I just don't deal with them. I don't have them around me. I don't want them around me, and
Yeah.
it's not in my wheelhouse. So, but I know a really good priest who does. So if anybody, you know, needs a priest that does exorcists.
So if you were gonna, somebody comes into your shop and they say, you know what, I feel like I want a all-around crystal that I can wear every day that kind of does a little bit of everything.
So
It kind of keeps me in good spirit, but it also protects me from the bad.
I have
What's
a-
like a generalized?
I have a wonderful bracelet that I created called it's a protection bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually right behind you on that shelf. And it's that middle row. If you just grab that whole,
This one?
right behind it.
This one.
That one, yep, just pick up the whole thing. So this is...
Let's see if I can not drop them
You can
all
do it.
on camera.
Nah, just one or two is fine. You drop one or two. So I have them on stretchies, or I have them on the cord, the full cord. So
Okay.
the hematite grounds you physically, helps your body to stay physically healthy, grounded. The black tourmaline
Mhm.
keeps everybody else's crap off of you, and the tiger eye is for your physical form. So you can emotionally ground, you can physically ground, and you can protect yourself. So those three, I do these like for the guys, because I really think most men don't have enough protection. You guys have sort of got really slighted in this lifetime, because you're told you're not allowed to have any weaknesses, and you're told you're not allowed to seek out help, which is the saddest thing, you know.
That's why we started this podcast.
Yeah, and it really is. It is truly. My son wears his. He has this one, and he wears it every day, all day, and he's a butcher, so it's on him, and it's going through. It's getting worn pretty well, but he even feels the difference, and he's not a, you know, he's coming a little closer to the woo woo, but you know, he used to. My kids all think I'm still, you know, slightly off, which is fine, because
That's okay.
I'm as far off as I can possibly get, and I'm going farther every day. So, and I'm loving the ride. It's been an amazing field. Every time I go into my Reiki room, something new happens, something different shows up. I've been in the presence of an angel, which is you can't explain. there's no words in this realm to explain what happened when they stepped in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be in that presence, and you just sort of become just, you're there, but you're not there, and they're putting their light and love and their energy into the individual that's on the table, and it's just like you just, not that I feel insignificant, but I felt so not necessary at the moment.
Yeah, you're right with that.
And
so that's a good one for the guys. What's a good one?
Yeah, that's a great protector. I mean,
What's a
girls
good
can
one
wear
for the
that
girls,
too. I mean, girls can wear that as well.
Okay.
Women, self-love is a big thing. We need to learn how to love ourselves, and get back to the goddess energy. A lot of women don't realize their magnificence or their energy. We're taught to not love our bodies, not love ourselves, to be critical, and so pink, toward girls, that pink, that's self-loving stones. So like, pink quartz and that are a good one for self-love, self-healing. My favorite is actually a blue apatite.
Okay.
If you are looking to heal your heart. It's a really strong stone. That rhodochrosite. Rhodochrosite's hard to find in bead form. You can find it in like a slice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I taped one to my chest for a couple of days, and I did nothing but cry until I got through all of what it was that I was trying to let go of. But the blue apatite's a really beautiful stone. Actually, this is. And
oh yeah.
So yeah, and it's a very heart opener. It works really well with the heart. The other, of course, like I said, labradorite for me, as you can tell when you walk around my store, there is a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's a high etherical stone.
It's
It
one of
helps
my
you to
favorite
connect to
stones.
your higher
Yeah.
self, and that's what we all need to do, is connect with that higher being. So that one I think is a really good one too. And I do like the chakras. I do many, and they all have labels. So they'll sort of tell you a little bit about it, whether it's courage or strength or health or self-love. So they'll all give you a little idea of what the stone does. And we have a wonderful dictionary on crystals that'll tell you what that crystal, all of its properties, what it can do for the body, physical health, which organs it will help to work with, if it works on the bloodstream, if it works on your pancreas, whatever. And so I tell people, take a picture with your phone, which everybody has usually, and then you can learn more about them. But crystals they're absolutely amazing. There's so much energy and so much love. You can change your life just by taking a few amethysts and clean them well and put them in a glass of water at night, and then just put them up in the windowsill. Throw some saran wrap over the top if you don't want things floating in it,
Yeah.
and drink it in the morning. It is a beautiful charge to the physical form, but it absorbs all the energy. Water has a memory unlike anything else, and it will feed the water. And then saying thank you to everything that comes into your physical form. Saying thank you to your food. They did a study at Stanford University where they fed 1,000 students, which of course everybody volunteers because they're starving college kids, right? They fed them the exact same meals every day. And they took blood draws. And then their meals at the end of the day, they took blood draws. And they had half the kids just ate the meals. The other half the kids thanked the meals for their energy, for their vitamins, for the nutrients, and da-da-da. They absorbed 50% more nutrients, the kids that said thank you to their food.
I've seen a similar study on
and I'm like,
gratitude.
But if you don't, that's what it is. You're just grateful. And it's like, but think about that. We don't get enough nutrients already in our foods. Like to get twice what you're going to get out of it by just being grateful. Like it's simple things in life. Himalayan sea salt, Celtic sea salt, putting those minerals back in your body. Not drinking, purified water and distilled water are going to pull your minerals from your body. So if you're going to drink those, you need to add minerals in, trace minerals or Celtic sea salt into it to make sure you're replenishing it because it will pull it out. Spring water won't do that. So I always recommend spring water.
I think a lot of people don't understand that either. Tricia and I watched a documentary, and it was literally all about water.
Yeah.
And it was
magic
actually
of
very
water.
fascinating.
Yeah.
That I didn't know.
I did a thing with my grandkids because the one, she was really like, I hate you, da-da-da-da, and it's like, they don't get it. They're learned, but you take 3 vases, just glass jars, and you take rice and you pour evenly across the 3 of the rice and water till you fill up the glass. Before that, you write loving words on 1 glass. You know, you're beautiful, I love you, thank you, just kind things. The next one, ugly, disgusting, you know, whatever it is. And the other one you leave blank. And you fill them up and you put them in a room, and once a day you take the glass with the loving words into another room and you talk to it. You hold it and tell it you love it and just thank you so much. You know, you smell so beautiful, and then you put it back. And then you take the ugly one out and you yell at it, swear at it, whatever you want. Just treat it badly, you know. And then the other one you don't talk to, you don't look at it, you don't pay any attention to it. And in 3 weeks, the first one will ferment, and you'll start to smell this beautiful rice, puffy, fermented. It smells wonderful. The next one turns black and moldy and gets really ugly looking, and the last one just turns into a gray solid block. Because what the power of words, and the power to ignore someone. So the worst thing you can do to somebody is if you're mad and you just ignore them and you give them no attention. It's the truest form of harm you can do to someone's soul, is to act like they don't exist. It's a really damaging thing. But this kid learned that her words had a lot of power, and that's, you know, if that can do that to rice, what's it doing to your soul?
Right, what's it doing to
You
people
know?
or kids nowadays?
Yeah.
Sure.
Or adults, wives and husbands. You've got to be nice to each other,
Right.
you know?
I
Yeah,
agree.
I agree. Be nice, honey.
So if anybody wants to reach out to you to do a Reiki session or come by and see the store, how would they do that?
So, well, the number is 847-276-1007, so 1007. And then we are at 1826 East Belvedere Road in Grays Lake. We're on the corner of 45 and 120.
And that's Illinois,
And
by
in
the way.
Illinois, yes.
'Cause
And
we do
that's
have
right. You
people
might
over-
have people out of the state.
We do have people overseas that watch
And we
this,
do
so-
have the shooters pool halls on one end of our strip mall, and then the Walgreens is on the other, and we are literally right dead center. Big purple sign says the Crystal Den, and yeah, so it's a wonderful place to come and just zen.
And do you have a website as well?
We do. It's crystalden.store.
.store.
Not
Okay.
.com, just .store. And then we also have Facebook is Crystal Den Store.
Okay.
And then I know there's Twitter and all those things, but I have a social media
that's
girl
okay.
because, you know, I mean, I can't do any of that stuff. I choose not to do any of that stuff. I could do all of it if I really wanted to, but I really don't want it.
It's
So,
always good
you
to
know,
have help.
It's like I don't want to change oil on the car either. So thank God there are people that know how, because it's not my forte. It's okay.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
I really appreciate you doing this.
And I'd
This
really
is
like
awesome.
to have you back because I'd like
Yes.
to go into some more detail about crystals and about
Absolutely.
some of the other treatments and stuff. And especially
Awesome.
I think Reiki is really interesting about the energy and stuff like that.
Yeah, the energy work itself, and we could actually do a little demo. I
That
can
would
get
be
you on a
fun.
table, and we can check your chakras,
Sure.
and we can show how to do a little bit of balance and
I'm
that
always
kind of
up for a
stuff.
little
So
experiment.
yeah, experiments are fun. Yeah, and yeah, anytime. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and hopefully, people will see it and
Oh, for sure.
and want to experience energy work, whether they're in the area or not. You know, play with crystals; they're good for you. You know.
And one thing
Drink
I
some
did
crystal
always hear
water.
about crystals is if you can go to a store and actually touch the crystals,
Yeah.
you'll go through a box of crystals and you'll pick up one and you'll just know
You'll
that
know it.
that's the one you want.
Pendulums are also like that.
Mhm.
You can stand in front of them and just look at them, and then it's like the puppies in the window.
Yeah.
They'll start moving. No touching the wall, no touching the crystal. Just stand there, and they will start moving
They will
towards you.
pick you.
They will literally. They'll be like, "Pick me, pick me,
Yeah.
pick me," all the way across. And it's funny. People are like, "Did you?" I'm like, "Nope, it's just you. They're just telling you these are the ones that like you. So pick them up and play with them." And you can have more than one. I have like 35 pendulums, you know, and I have God knows how many bracelets. And I mean, you can have a lot of them. Crystals are amazing, and they don't have to be. I mean, I love like the tabletop ones. I like the big pieces on my dining table,
Yeah.
and that they're great to clear the energy.
And
just
what's
to
great
have
about it
them.
is each one's unique.
Yep.
They're all
Yeah.
different.
And they never go bad.
Yeah.
You don't need to change batteries. You know, they're perfect always.
All right.
So-
Well, that was another amazing episode, as usual. Bag of Marbles, and we look forward to the next one.
Bag of marbles.